Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, and welcome to a special edition of the show tonight. With us, we have Larry Patterson, founder of Larry's Anything Goes, LLC. Larry's Anything Goes, LLC is an online retail store and financial intelligence content creator organization. Larry's Anything Goes, LLC also supports, connects, and engages with multiple entrepreneurs. Larry Patterson started his business officially as a limited liability corporation in June of 2018. Larry's Anything Goes, LLC primary objective is to educate and stress the importance of multiple streams of income and financial asset accumulation to the public. So without further ado, please help me welcome to my platform, Mr. Larry Patterson. How are you, sir?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I'm excited about you coming on tonight to hear about all the amazing things that you do, because you're just not a one-stop show. You got a one-man show. You got a whole bunch of things going on within that show. So before we get started, we get asking you all these great questions. Why don't you just tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself, Larry?
Okay. Well, I'm born and raised in Woodbridge, Virginia, as local as they come to the Northern Virginia area. Raised by a great, awesome single mother. I work full time, and I juggle two companies now, mainly Larry's Anything Goes when it comes to the financial content creation, and Patterson L Properties when it comes to wholesaling real estate and rental properties, and about to get into the delinquent tax lien business at the same time. So just like yourself, I'm involved in a variety of things, but my passion is financial intelligence, going to various seminars, engaging with other entrepreneurs, and just seeing where the future of my businesses are actually going to take me, all at the same time.
Wow. I mean, you made me tired, okay?
Yeah, about to say you got to stop me. I can go all in though.
I'm sitting there like, okay, he didn't talk about anything else besides work, and business, work, and business. So.
And the funny thing is you mentioned that is because when I'm not at work and I'm working on my businesses, it doesn't feel like work.
Right. You're right.
And it's like pleasure for me in a sense. For like a lot of people that like to watch football, I like to work on my business because to quote Mark Cuban, it's like a sport for me.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about being a business owner. But at the same time, like, most people don't understand, it is consistent work. You have to put in the time and effort in order to make it successful. And you have multiple streams. And I know that in your bio, you talk a little bit about the fact that the importance of multiple streams of income. So, but before we dive into those questions, I kind of want to get a little bit of information about, what really inspired you to become this a business owner, but then also continue doing the work. Who really was a part of your life that said, hey, this is something I want to do, or what really just turned you on into business, period?
Okay. So I've always had a fascination with business, but I truly got I call it my awakening, my wake up call in 2017. I was listening to a online, very famous YouTuber, goes by the name of Dr. Royce Watkins. His platform, and he has this called the Black Business School. He is a designated financial professor, and he talked about a lot of the roles, especially that take place throughout the African American community. It's mainly due to the fact that so many people are very dependent on having a job instead of being independent in regards to owning their own companies and being able to pass down different assets for generations to come. Because we see in various other communities, stores, lots, real estate, corporations are handed down. It's a normal thing within their community, and it's easier to hand somebody a company or a home than it is to hand them a job. Because when it comes to a job, everybody has to compete for it. But if it's a family-owned business, you can hand it down to your sister, your brother, your mother, your cousin, your son, your daughter, et cetera, and so forth. And one day I was just at work and I looked around and I saw people who were about 20 to 30 years older than me. And I was just like, it's not nothing against a lot of them, but a lot of them, not all, were very unhappy. And a lot of them felt trapped. And I said to myself, I need to do something different outside of just in order to make money, in order for me to ensure that when I get the next 15 to 20 years of my life, I'm able to not only do what I want to do on my own terms, however, I will be able to live where I want to live on my own terms.
Exactly.
So that was my awakening.
And it's a good awakening. And the key is that you have awakened. And a lot of people don't, like you said, ever take that step or even understand that. And it's amazing how you just mentioned, that everybody talks about the fact that all we've ever been taught in life is to, go to school and then go to work. And I've had this conversation over and over for the last several weeks. It seems to be the number one topic that most people have discovered who have gone into business for themselves, or even if you're not in business for yourself, but just really understanding that, are you really truly living your best life? Are you really reaching the goals that you want to reach, beyond just having a paycheck? And, so when you said that, that always constantly rings a bell, that part of the problem that in our own communities, especially in our Black communities, that's not how we're raised. Because I kind of want to take it back a little bit. I guess when you think about the fact of slavery, people are still somewhat enslaved within their minds. And then at the same time, this is, just being able to get an education was the most important thing, because that was such a huge struggle. So obviously we're, beyond that, but there are still so many people who are not utilizing the skill sets they have and not taking advantage of what people have worked so hard and have died for us to have these opportunities.
I could not agree with you more. And it's like you said, it's a mindset, and it's because at the end of the day, and I'm sure you can agree with me on this one, it's owning a business and being business minded and asset accumulation, financial intelligent minded. It's a culture. And we see it within every other culture within the United States, except within the African American community, in group economics, doing business with your own, banking with your own, that's a big thing that's not even talked about enough, because everybody's just used to going to the major corporations. A lot of our own banks aren't even utilized enough to where they can survive. And a lot of times they have to go to outside forces in order for them to be sustainable in business nowadays. And it's, my mission especially with Leverage Anything Goes, I just wanted I take it from Dr. Wordsworth, because I wanted to become a part of our culture. Every African American family needs to, and if it's a Patterson's, one group of the Pattersons needs to own a business, and et cetera and so forth. It needs to just be a part of the culture, because it's a part of everybody else's culture. I give you one quick example. There's a family that used to live down the street from me, and this family actually has their own lottery.
Wow.
They call it their own family lottery. They put money into it every month. Okay. And whoever wins, that person actually takes the actual jackpot from the family lottery. Another quick example, they actually, all members of that specific family, they actually put money into, think of it like an IRA savings or index fund. And every year, they have a family reunion, and at that family reunion, everybody has fun, just like every other family reunion, barbecue, etc. However, in their family, what they add on to that caveat is that they actually, various members of that family have to give company presentations, business presentations, have a business plan developed. And if everybody in the family agrees that this specific family should get a loan, well, not even a loan, they should get access to the funds that they've contributed for the last year, then they say yes. And everybody gets a dividend from that business when it's successful.
Wow.
So they own, that family owns multiple 7-Elevens, and they own multiple hotels and a couple of subways. And main reason why they own all these assets is because as a family, everybody in the family, once they get working age, they have to contribute at least $50 a month. Wow. And that's how they're creating their own economic empire, by just doing that. So I'm sorry if I got long-winded by
No.
I just wish that would become more of our culture in a sense.
Exactly. And that's excellent information. And like I said, something so simple. I mean, $50 a month. We spend $50 in a matter of seconds. Going out, buying the shoes, going and getting the hair and the nails done. And that's the problem with our society. I mean, we know that we're a multi-billion-dollar spending community, but we're not spending, like I said, within our own communities. And that's a big issue. And, with this, obviously what we're talking about is nothing new, but it's a shame that we have to constantly keep talking about the same things over and over, because I think most people realize that coming into business is obviously much more work entailed in that than just sitting, and doing an 8-hour job and getting a paycheck, because that's easy, right? We all know that you work 8 hours, you're going to get paid, but at the end of the day, that's not even always promised. And I just, think that a lot of times people aren't always looking at their purpose in life and truly what they can bring to the table. And the first thing I always hear when people talk about going into business is that it's always this, well, nobody wants to hear what I have to say, or nobody really cares what I'm going to do. And, I just don't want to do that. I just want to live. I just want to go out and buy clothes, and I just want to go this. I mean, it's the same old. And to be honest, obviously not everybody wants to be a business owner, and it's okay, because if everybody was a business owner, then obviously we wouldn't be able to, be in the position that we're in now, because we need people in order to be successful and within our businesses, right? So I
couldn't agree with you more.
But
agree with you more.
Right. But at the same time, I think that we don't have enough of those conversations within our families. I come from a family where my father's been in business for more than 52 years. So it's been ingrained in us as what it means to be an entrepreneur. And we have those choices where, we've been told this is what you can do. If you don't want to, you can, like my dad always used to tell us, you can use your brain or you can use your back, whatever you want to do. But whatever you do it the best at your best ability, right?
Absolutely. And you use the operative word, choices.
Right.
Because I think people forget the fact that no one says that you cannot have a job. Nobody's saying that going to college and getting an education, having a career is a bad thing. They always the misinterpretation is always there. But I always say it's just in your best interest to have, if you don't own a company, to at least have stock in a company.
Yes.
Because you need a backup plan, especially in the day of automation and robotics. It's just, for crying out loud, another store, just Forever 21 is closing down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, the list goes on and on. Robots are taking a lot of jobs away. It's going to be much harder for the next generation to even have a decent paying job. Wages are stagnated. It is in everyone's best interest to own stocks, bonds, real estate, any sort of corporation, have an online platform, buy into a franchise, whatever it may be. It is in your best interest for survival at this point to be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and I don't think people take that into consideration.
And they don't, because it's the easy streak. Like I said, it's that comfort zone, and it's hard to get out of that comfort zone until you sometimes have no choice. You read many stories today, that we hear all the time about people who lose their jobs, and then all of a sudden they get that instinct of survival that, hey, I've got to do something here because I still have to pay these bills. Nothing is going to go away because you decide, either that you're not going to work or either that you lose a job. Everything is still there. You still got to eat. You still got to put, a roof over your head you got to take care of, and all those other responsibilities. So sometimes people are backed against the wall in order to understand what their talents really are, and in order to make not just a living, but have a business that's beyond survivorship, and it just really becomes plentiful for them and their families. And like you said, be able to engage and continue to move that forward with their other family members as a legacy. It's not just this thing of, oh, well, I'm just going to survive for today and then I'm going to go back to my job. So,
exactly.
sometimes people are definitely backed against the wall in order to do that. But I think sometimes if people would just take a few minutes of their day and just sit back and really review who they are within themselves, do their own self-assessment and say, what am I really doing? Is this the future that I want to have? Like you said, when you see people that have been sitting on their same jobs for 20, 30, 40 years, do they really like those jobs, or are they miserable, or is it, like I said, just that comfort zone? I still work full time like we both do. And I sit back some days and I sit in my cubicle, and I'm thankful every day that I have this blessing and to have a great job. But I'd be like, oh my God, if I had to sit in this cubicle another day, I think I'm gonna scream. It's constantly looking at them four walls and hearing everything around you. It's just like, this is, in your heart, even when you're working hard to do your own business, that this is not where you really want to be. But it's that means to get to where you need to be in life, so.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. It's just because it's when you're working for something that you're passionate about, it feels like even though you're working, it feels like you're not working. It's like you haven't worked a day in your life.
Right. Absolutely.
Because,
absolutely.
It's the difference of working for somebody and working for yourself. It's like there's more passion involved. There's more energy. There's more commitment.
Right. Well, and that commitment is real, because you can't just come into work. That commitment of owning a business means everything is on your shoulders.
Absolutely.
And that is truly the difference. Even though you have that passion, it's really all about, oh my gosh, if I don't come in here and do my job, or if I miss a day, guess what? You miss a day, you don't get paid. So
exactly.
It's that reality, that true reality that people don't think about, obviously, too, if they are going in business. And if they do think about it, they still have that fear factor. But fear is something that you should not do, because that fear of having to live in that life of that cubicle is really not where you want to see yourself 30, 40 years from now. And like I tell people, it doesn't matter how old you are as well. You should still be able to get up and think about, is this is my passion, and that's all you eat, sleep, and breathe it, then that's what you should be doing.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And just to add on to that caveat, because with the increasing gentrification that's happening around the United States, everybody's thinking that if they go south, then that's just going to be in the safe zone. And I'm just like, well, if you haven't been to Houston or Atlanta lately, those cities are being gentrified right now. If you haven't been to Miami lately, New Orleans, of all places, is being gentrified. So you can't escape it. Okay, so you can't. Right. There's nowhere to hide to just say I'm going to have a job. I'll just live in a cheaper state. Unless you're going to live in a small town where literally nothing is happening, in my personal opinion, you cannot escape gentrification.
That's right. And ironically, you just brought up Houston. I was just in Houston last weekend, and that's the first thing that I noticed, and that was the first conversation we were having as I was being showed the area and the community, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're, tearing down these downtown areas that literally has gone to nothing. And guess what? You got popping up brand new real estate, commercial real estate, and everybody who's living there is nobody who looks like us.
I couldn't agree with you. I went there 2 years ago, and I stayed in the neighborhood Beyonce grew up in, because I was residing in Airbnb, and I saw the gentrification happening right before my very eyes. You couldn't be more spot on.
Yeah, and that's the shame. That's the sad part about it, is that we're not paying attention to what's in front of us. And, as this continues to go on in every city, and we see it right here in our own backyard, it's happening everywhere. But at the end of the day, we, to some degree, are at fault for that, because we're not truly paying attention and understanding what economics is really about. It's not about the watch, the finest watch you got on your arm. It's not about the length of hair you got in your head. It's not about the type of nails you're wearing. It's a much bigger picture. And those are the things that we still have to figure out, and we have to continue to preach. And like I tell my son, that's the number one we conversate every day in this house about economics and business. And even
God bless you.
And you have to, and he's a grown man, but these are communication things you need to do, because that's how I was raised. And I said, one thing I always tell my son, and I always talk to people about, is like, there's no excuses. Whatever you decide to do, you can't say you didn't have the foundation. You can't say you didn't have the information, but it's up to you to move forward in that direction.
I couldn't agree with you more, because hence Tyler Perry Studios.
Woo!
A man that went from being homeless to opening up one of the largest studios within the nation.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
And I just think a lot of times, for a lot of people, they need to hit rock bottom in order for them to become the superstars that they were meant to be.
Right.
And that story is just so inspiring, to no end. And because that you're instilling that in your son, that's a beautiful thing, because then it's going to be in his mindset. It becomes a part of his culture, and then the next generation, et cetera, and so forth.
Well, and that's the goal.
And we need more people like you to do things like that, because a lot of people just aren't instilling that into their children.
Right. But that's the goal. As we grew up hearing, I always used to hear, each generation should be better, right? And that is our responsibility. And that's part of the problem, I believe, that we have in our communities, is that the parents don't want to be parents anymore. They want to be friends. They're like, oh, we got to make sure little Joey over here is doing okay. Well, no, you have a responsibility. They want the school systems to take care of all the responsibilities. So the foundation is the key to everything, no matter what you do in life. And I think that's a big part of what we're missing, is that foundation. And the reason why we're continuing to stand behind everybody instead of being up either next to them or above and beyond, above them and in front of them. And, we'll always continue to have those problems until people open their eyes and realize the significance of what they have in front of them, and what people have worked so hard and have died for in order for us to have these freedoms, so that's going to be. Yeah, a constant conversation. You know what? We have beat ourselves up on this great conversation, but I still got a million questions to ask you about your own business.
Okay, no problem. Go for it. Go for it.
All right. I was like, okay. I'm like, oh, wait, let me hurry up and get off this, get off my little bandwagon. I'm off my horse now. So. But what I would love to hear more is about your business. Like I said, we talked a little bit earlier, you are all about the multiple streams of income and understanding the financial asset of accumulation, and all that good stuff. So talk about the businesses and, what is it you're trying to educate people on beyond, what we've already talked about. Talk a little bit more about those things.
Okay, so the bigger picture is, especially when it comes to Layers Anything Goes, I want more and more people, especially within our community, to have more discussions about stocks, bonds. I want to have more education in regards to annuities, short-term life insurances, especially cryptocurrencies. That needs to be talked about enough, because whether people believe it or not, that is the today, and it definitely is the future of investing, of currency. And, as a whole, more and more companies and countries are accepting it and creating their own Bitcoin. So we need to be much more educated on that as well. And another thing is, with my company, it's like we team up a lot with other financial intelligence organizations. Mm-hmm. I've spoke at various conferences before throughout the country. The plan is, with Layers Anything Goes, to create my own little financial education courses that people can attend for a very minimum price, in order to not only get the word out there, but to try people even get engaged with their children all at the same time. I sell various products all at the same time too. It's from the business aspect, and I try to connect with other entrepreneurs via my channel, my YouTube channel and Facebook page, and to ensure that I can engage with others. But my main thing with the company is to not only engage with others, but to just try to educate more people, and the people that actually have questions, answer the questions, whether it's via telephone, via text, via email, or face-to-face. Because there's so many people that do not realize that there's so much information out here that can change their lives. They wouldn't even believe it, but it's just listening and then wanting to engage and then wanting to implement all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think, like you talk about the fact that there's a ton of information. I think it's overwhelming sometimes, with people, now that the information is literally at your fingertips. And, I think the thing I see is that sometimes it's like, okay, what is really accurate and what isn't accurate, because the information can flow to you so quickly. So when you're educating people and you're going through the classes, talk a little bit about what it is that you focus on and how people can truly understand how to build those streams of income.
Okay, it's no problem. So for the most part, I try to figure out where people are financially first, because everybody's obviously in their different boats. All right. And then two, I try to give them just simple platforms like using Robinhood, Stash, Acorns. I'm trying to educate people to let them know that every time you can swipe your debit card, you can actually invest in the stock market. Wow. If you only have $5 to $10, you can buy $5 to $10 worth of cryptocurrency every month. Mm-hmm. These are simple principles. You can buy, if you have $30 to spare, you can buy $30 worth of an actual government bond if you wanted to. Or you could, if you have $150, you can open up your own business overnight and without even realizing it, because it's the new stock investment called Carrot Bars, where you can buy little bits of gold and cryptocurrency if you want to, and with that little minimum investment, you can actually have an actual business, a home-based business, and then you could build a financial platform. And if you refer others, it's a referral-based business, but it's not a pyramid scheme. You refer others, and as soon as they buy more cryptocurrency and gold, you receive a dividend from every time that they make a purchase, and then et cetera and so forth. The simple principles, because my thing is I want to reach the everyday working people. Right. Okay. Because people who are already entrepreneurs like you and myself, we get it. You don't have to keep, kicking the can down the road when it comes to how we think and how we operate on a daily basis. But with the everyday working people, I want them to know that even if you never own a company, you can own a company, and it can take very minimal of your time. You can still receive the same tax write-offs as every other Fortune 500 CEO out there, and you can still get other investments and create other assets for yourself and for your children all at the same time.
Wow, that was a lot of great information. So the information you just talked about, you talked about a slew of different opportunities and ways that people can become business owners. Now, do you take this educational program that you have and how you educate people? Are you doing this like on a weekly basis, or is this a monthly program? Is it people just reach out to you and say, hey, I want to learn more about your programs? How do you go about doing that?
So it's usually on a weekly basis, and for the most part, it's happened via word of mouth because as my subscribers have grown, and just people I engage with from when I go to events, or even when I'm at work, or just people that I have because people that I just engage with going to a grocery store. Mm-hmm. I engage with people on multiple levels, and a lot of times I just probably like yourself, I just hand my card out, and the ones that are interested I actually call, and obviously the ones that don't, they don't. And then we end up just engaging on a regular basis, and I just end up educating people, and sometimes even like, hey, I get paid for my services with a little bit of, I call life coach sessions, mm-hmm. in regards to showing, hey, this is other ways that you can use very minimal amount of your money and change your life around so that you're not just an employee, but you're actually a CEO all at the same time. Because I tell people, no matter where your situation is, at the end of the day, you are the CEO of your own life, period.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely hit that one out the park. That is excellent information. I mean, I had no idea that what you provided and how much fulfillment that you give people when it comes to understanding how to bring in multiple streams of income. Because, most people, when they think about the multiple streams of income, like you talked about, most of them look at the pyramid process, and it's okay. It works for some people, but it's not always the quickest way to build that empire that you're trying to build, because you're still depending on other companies in order to make that, work for you. So I really like the information that you just provided. But just talk a little bit about maybe some of the challenges you've had doing the type of businesses you're doing. What have you faced with that?
So the biggest challenge is obviously time, because there's never enough time, right? Mm-hmm. And then this is, you can understand that. And then the second one is a lot of people just don't believe, like they think everything is a scam, especially mm-hmm. a lot of times in our community. That, like, if it's not, a lot of people just don't believe that regular working people can obtain assets and earn a living outside of their job. So a lot of times they just don't want to hear it. They're, especially in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, because, mm-hmm. and this is nothing against the government, but because it's such a big government presence, people have a government mindset. And with a government mindset, they have a stagnated mindset. Mm-hmm. To where that it's nothing against the government. It's just the government, being in the government and being an entrepreneur is two different worlds. It's like space and Mars. It's two different worlds. And a lot of times people can't leave their planet, mm-hmm. Because they're stuck in their one planet, and they see opportunity at another planet, but they don't want to go because that will actually, involve them stepping outside of their comfort zone, just like you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Because 50% of our, right. And I believe that because being that we are here in the DC area, 50% of our Black community works for the government. So,
exactly.
That's a huge percentage. So it's very difficult, like you said, for people to come out of that comfort zone and say, hey, I'm going to go quit my job, to go do this. And that's where the big misunderstanding is. Like, so it's not always about quitting your job. It's about understanding how you can add those other streams of income, prepare yourself for that retirement before you get to the point where like I tell people, retirement is great to have money, but I want to be able to move and enjoy my life while I'm still have that capability, and I don't think sometimes people look at it that way. It's always, well, I'm going to build my income of stream of money here, which is great, but we're not promised anything. So, while you're continuously building that money, you don't know if you're going to, once you retire, whether you're going to be able to enjoy all of it.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, and I just think you hear and see so much of that, and I can sit back. I always laugh and think about when I was growing up, there was always that commercial that would come on about retirement, the golden years, and I was thinking to myself, I got to look like that in order to have some fun. In order to retire? I'm like, wait a minute now, I got to be all crippled and bent over before I can enjoy my money. I'm thinking, yeah, well, by that point, I don't really care, So, as a kid, seeing that, it's like, wow, the golden years. That was something I always feared, growing up. Was like, I don't want to do the golden years if it's like this.
I do not blame you whatsoever.
So obviously I'm showing my age some, but it's just that we're in definitely a different time and age where, like you said, the technology is definitely there. A lot of positions are going to be, taken away. The human side of it is already going away, and we can see that consistently every day. I mean, I even think about the fact that here we got, was in Amazon, it's in the Crystal City area coming. Things are changing very rapidly. And if you don't have that understanding of technology, don't understand IT, you are going to be in a lost world, because that's the way we are going. We've been going that way for many years, but now it's very prevalent that, you don't even have to leave your house in order to get your groceries anymore. I mean, wow.
You're right. I just ordered my dinner via services of DoorDash.
There you go. Yeah, that's our number one around this household, DoorDash. I mean, you don't even have to go to McDonald's anymore. You can get DoorDash or Grubhub, right?
Yeah, you don't really need to leave the house anymore. I used Uber. I had to pick up a car. It's like, this is the world we live in.
Yes.
And we live in an adapt and overcome society right now.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it's all about convenience, right? It's all truly the world we live in is about convenience. And because we have a busy, world, but the things are, I guess I always think about, what are you really truly being busy about? What is it that makes you so busy that you can't find the time anymore to get up and go to a grocery store and pick out your own groceries? I guess because I'm in my 50s, I haven't been able to fathom that piece just yet,
It's just a lot of people are lazy. Let's call it what it is. I mean,
right.
Alan says it all the time. My significant other, she's like, look, they make technology for people that are becoming more lazy. Period.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the average person, when you go to the store, can't even count money. I mean, I've seen that many times. And I'm like, what's going to happen when computers aren't around? When people truly do have to use their heads and think. And I guess when I think about the generations today, they, even when they go to school, they don't even want to go to school anymore. Before it's over, it's going to be strictly no brick and mortar. It will all be done online. I don't see that not happening. I think that's going to be the next phase. But I also believe it takes away from the opportunity for people to engage with each other and understand how to do some of the basic things that I grew up with, which is basically reading, writing, and arithmetic. They can't do. There's a lot of that cannot be done. Today because of the technologies that we have. So, I mean, it has its good and and it has its bad things, but I think we really need to hold on to both, because those opportunities are definitely, there's going to be times where that you can't use a calculator for everything, so to speak.
I couldn't agree with you more. There's certain things that technology can't replace. Even if it does, it still can't, because eventually the human will be put in a situation where they will not have technology.
That's right. Well, I don't know if you you may be too young to remember or think about the fact of 2000. A lot of people don't even realize 1999, 2000 was rolling in, and oh my God, they thought it was the end of the world, right? So, I remember.
You remember?
And it was all based on technology, and even then, people didn't understand the importance of it, of, oh my gosh, I mean, literally people were out buying, water and food and everything. I said, well, if it's in the world, what you need all that for? That was my thought.
Everybody's a conspiracy theorist still think it was just a good ploy to get the private sector rich. That's all.
Exactly.
to bump up consumer spending, basically.
Exactly, because I always, I guess, I'm like, I was still a kid, I was in high school. I was like, this isn't making any sense to me. I'm like, okay, whatever, but it is what it is, but that's the thought processes that we, you deal with and you live with in life. And, people just truly need to think more within themselves. They need to truly understand that there's so much more that they can continue to learn. And like you said, being a business owner is not as hard as it used to be. You can literally overnight become that business owner, and having an individual like you, Mr. Patterson, available that can teach people the simplicity of it, but also the importance of it. I have so much respect for you, and I appreciate everything that you're doing, and you definitely keep moving forward and doing what you're doing.
I greatly appreciate that. And you as well. You definitely inspire me and us all to continuously pursue our goals and aspirations outside of just having a job. So I greatly appreciate it. And keep up the great work with your books and your touring and your engagement. You inspire us all.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But before we go, because I know we're a little past our time, please tell everyone, Larry, how they can get a hold of you and, where they can find you on social media and the whole 9 yards, please.
Okay, no problem at all. But the first and best place to find me is on YouTube. All you have to do is type in Larry's Anything Goes. LLC, and my name will pop up immediately. And please just subscribe to my page for some great content. And you never know, if you're in the business the world of entrepreneurship, I would love for you to be a guest of mine. You can check out my website for extra content at www.larrysanythinggoes.com.
All right.
And if you want to get some specific items, you can go on there as well. So I would greatly appreciate it.
All right. Well, that was awesome. I mean, I have just enjoyed this conversation. We could probably continue to keep talking, but my show is good 30 minutes. We are always over. This is how it goes. You know, when it's good, it's good. But I do appreciate you. I appreciate you so much coming on and being my guest for this evening. And do you have any last words for my listeners?
Yes, just please go after your goals and aspirations. And even if you're in your career and you're loving your career, that's fine. But please work hard to have options, not only for yourself, but for your children and your grandchildren. That's all I can say. But thank you very much.
You're welcome. It is my pleasure. And again, like I said, thank you all for listening to tonight's show. I'm here every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. You can follow us on iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Tumblr. I'm starting to forget, and I'm on so many different platforms now. I'm so excited that we're continuing to grow the show. So if you would like to be a guest in 2020, just reach out to me at Kimberly WSBI LC. You can reach out through that. And I also got, of course, I can't even remember half my own Gmail accounts, which is crazy, right? But I also have KMM123 McLemore. You can reach me through there at gmail.com. But if you just want to have any other basic information, go to my website at www.wsbilc.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. But until next time, you all have a great evening and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.